Welcome to the yard where faith and sports collide. I'm your host, Marcus Preciado. So glad you're joining us today. And as always, the lovely and talented Jefferson Drexler. Say hi to everybody where?
In podcast land. How about if I bring up my own microphone?
That's good.
I can never get these first few button pushes right, brother. I need more coffee.
You know, we were off to such a good start. I was like, man, I just nailed that intro, Jefferson. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, that's one of my best intros.
Yeah.
And then I throw it to you, thinking you'll take it and keep it going.
Yeah.
And you just totally jacked it up.
I did.
That's okay.
I did. I could do a second take, but then that would be actually our third take.
That would be. Hey guys, today we're here with a good friend of mine, Pastor Greg Hendricks. He's a campus pastor of the Rock Church East County campus here in San Diego, former professional basketball player, former assistant coach at the NBA level, also founder of KingdomCollective.com.
KingdomCollectiveLife.com.
KingdomCollectiveLife.com, which we'll get into as well. You check out some of the fresh gear he's wearing. We'll talk about that as well. But as usual, before we get started, Greg, thanks for joining us, man.
My man, thanks for having me be here. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, man.
Yeah.
Before we get started, man, I love your shoe game always.
I mean, you know, but I ain't on your level. I see you done broke out the fresh ones today.
I wore these especially for you.
Man, I could tell. You brought out the heat today.
You know, I only wear these on special occasions.
Oh.
Really, like if there's something going on, like special, I put these bad boys on.
Man.
And I always wrestle with, should I wear them or not? And then my cousin, who's a shoehead, Chico, shout out Chico.
Chico.
Right? He unveiled some that he bought like 10 years ago, and they're cracking.
Oh.
So he bought them, never wore them, and they're cracking.
You know you're a true shoehead when you do that. Like
Yes.
you buy in store
Yes.
and bring out for the special occasion.
Yeah.
You could tell he's anointed. His shoe game's anointed.
So this is just to represent how much I love you.
Man.
But we're gonna play this game, Greg. None of us have ever played it,
Okay.
right?
All right.
What's the name of this game, Jefferson?
I don't even know if it has a name. It's Walmart, Bounce, and Score.
Okay, Walmart, Bounce, and Score.
Walmart.
So
Shout out Walmart.
Shout out Walmart, Bounce, and Score. Hey, if this is your first time checking in, we thank you. Check out our YouTube channel. We'd love for you to subscribe if you like what you're seeing here, and you get behind the scenes stuff in every episode. But if this is your first time, right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna play this game, have a little friendly competition.
All right.
And we're just gonna talk sports. We're gonna talk sports and life and current sports and what Greg has been up to throughout his life. And then in the second half, we're going to talk about faith and sports colliding. So that's what this is all about. So tune in, stay tuned, have a good time, and let's see who's going to win this game. Now, we tried a couple tosses, Greg.
Yeah.
Unsuccessfully.
Yeah.
The plan was 21. Do we want to go 21? Do we want to go to 11? And kind of regroup?
Yeah, let's start out and see where we go, and then as we get there, if we get it rolling, then we get to 21. But if it's looking like we shooting a lot of bricks, then we're gonna go to maybe 10.
Okay, that means to me that what I heard was, if I get to 11 first, we win.
Yeah, that's right. That's the old veteran trick right there. That's the old veteran trick.
All right, go ahead.
All right, here we go. Check this out. At the gate, give me 3.
Right off the bat.
Give me 3.
Why is him getting a 3 relevant right now, Jefferson? Why was that first shot him hitting 3 relevant?
Because my boy is a three-point genius.
Yeah.
One.
He got one.
Way to
He
go
got
from the
one.
line.
I can only choose one. Give me 2.
Snap.
Give me 2.
What?
Come on, I'm going in, man. I'm over here.
At Walmart. That was you at Walmart last
Seriously,
night.
somebody's
Yo, my
been
hat
in the
moved real
game.
low, man. Yeah. Who's that dude? He just scoring, man.
He's like, he ain't fighting nothing. But man, he's good.
Man, he going in on the Walmart Bounce special.
All right, here we go. So, let's jump ahead. Since you hit that 3, I know we typically move towards this, but you were known for your 3s. You eventually got to be a coach at the NBA level for Seattle Supersonics, right?
Yep.
And you were known for your 3, and you had an impact on that team, as a coach and helping out some of the 3-point shooters that were on that team. Talk to us about some of the guys that were on your team during that time.
Yeah, man. I had, as you shoot.
Okay.
Ooh,
Steady.
got another one. That's
Steady.
all right. Yeah,
All right.
I had. It was cool, man, because I got a chance to work with Rashard Lewis, Ray Allen, Earl Watson, Luke Rittenauer, some really cool names. And Ray Allen, obviously, being probably one of the all-time greatest 3-point shooting guards ever to play the game. I got a chance to be up close with him, know his family, know his wife, just for a season in my life. And it was, you can't buy that, it was priceless. And just to get the insight into a professional and how he shot the ball and how he calculated misses and what that did to strengthen him for his next shot, you saw it early on, but what a lot of people don't understand about professional athletes is oftentimes when they're training for something, it kicks into play like way down the line. And I remember specifically one time we were in the gym and we were practicing, and he kept practicing this corner shot all the time. And it would miss and then he would make here and there, and he just kept getting better and better. And that was the same shot that he hit when he played for the Miami Heat. Wow. That's projected him, and against the San Antonio Spurs, that projected him in to come into winning a title that year. Wow. I saw that same shot in the gym behind the scenes and a whole bunch of misses.
So you saw that shot live, but you also saw that shot being developed and birthed years before.
Oh man.
So
yeah.
I'm not a good basketball player. I foul pretty good.
You got them J's though.
I got a good shoe game.
Yeah.
Sometimes I pull my hammy while stretching.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't shoot that well. I was a football player.
Yeah.
Right. And so my mentality as a football player was way different than mentality as a basketball player. And I can hold my own goofing off. Right. My athletic ability, I can do some stuff. But I've always been interested, Greg, about what the thought process of a 3-point specialist, because it goes way beyond like physically just shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much pressure. Give us some insight on being a great 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I think a lot of the thing with a 3-point shooter is footwork, squaring of your shoulders. Ray Allen, his whole thing was footwork. He was a real good footwork guy. But then to have the mentality that missing is not a stumbling block or going to be a barrier for you, that actually missing for him. So I'll give you a story that I was telling you guys earlier. I want to share with them is that I remember sitting in a practice with him one time, and we were having a conversation, and he had just come off a game where he didn't shoot the ball in particularly well. And for most players, that probably frustrates you. Oh man, I didn't shoot the ball. And some people actually kind of tank and go into this, spiral thing. But for a guy like him, he gave me a reaction that sticks with me till this day. And the reaction was talking about missed shots. He said, for every time I miss a shot, I make 3 more in my mind because I'm learning how to recalculate how to make my shots. Yeah. And I was just really, at a loss for words because of what his mentality was, that missing shots was not a thing for him, that he knew he was gonna miss shots. But again, every miss that he had, he learned how to make 3. And so, no pun intended, like the 3 I just hit, but he hit that 3 against San Antonio, and as soon as he hit it, it took me back to that time in the gym when he was practicing the shot, and he said that to me.
That mentality for me doesn't register, because I heard Reggie Miller after a game where he missed I don't know how many shots, and sure enough, there's 3 seconds left. Who takes the shot and makes it? Reggie Miller, right? And they're interviewing him after the game saying, how did you have the courage to take that shot after you missed him? And he said something simple that was like simple but so profound. He said, shooters shoot.
That's right.
I'm a shooter. I shoot. And like it's a numbers game for them, right? Like they know they're gonna make a certain amount, and for some of them, if they shoot and they miss, they're just that closer to the next make. I was a free safety. You don't get chances to miss tackles. You miss one tackle. I got to start against UCLA my freshman year back in 1990. Right? The Rose Bowl, probably 70,000 people there. I'm just out of high school.
Come on.
ABC, national television, the UCLA cheerleaders, the band, like it was surreal.
Come on.
Okay? And so just out of high school, walking out of the Rose Bowl, and I have a decent game for the first 2 quarters. I miss a tackle. I was a free safety. Still to this day, Greg, I'm still ticked off at myself because when I missed the tackle, I let my whole team down.
Yeah.
National television saw it. I still beat myself up for missing that tackle. And so there's a mentality that I think for football sometimes is like, you miss, there's this pressure, but great basketball players don't have that same mentality.
No. Not at least for Ray, it was that And it's cool because they do it by attrition. And I've heard similar things about Kobe Bryant, how he would shoot. I actually heard a story this morning of Kawhi Leonard telling a story about Kobe Bryant, and Kobe asked Kawhi, yo, what's the most shots you've taken in a game? I think it was like an all-star game or some type of game. And Kawhi was like, oh man, I think at the time it was like 19, 20. He said, yeah, man, I shot 47 times. And he just was telling them, like, number one, I'm competitive. I shot more shots than you. Number two, that's what I do. Yeah. I put the ball up, you know. I'm shooter shoot, man.
Well, speaking of shooter shooting,
come on.
Was it 5-2 right now?
5-2. Let's go ahead and bump that thing up. Bump that thing up. Come on.
That's ridiculous.
Come on, let's bump it.
Point specialist, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on now.
Come on. You didn't make one during the tryouts.
No, I know. I didn't make one at all.
In there. Okay. So you're at. Keep your score. I'll keep mine.
Come on. It's 8-2.
8-2.
8-2.
Wow.
You know, we almost to 11. That's all right.
Wow. Okay.
You know, so
all right. So we're going to 21.
Okay, go to 21. 21. So the person that's down shoots first.
Why not?
Go ahead.
Why not?
Go ahead.
Oh
man, he tried to dribble it in. He tried to dribble it. He tried to.
How long did you work at the fair? How long did you work at the Del Mar Fair, man?
With the hat low. Yeah, or practicing. You know what's funny about the fair, bro, is like they say, oh man, come on, shoot it right there. And the dude gets the ball and he right next to the rim. He's like, look, you can make it right here. And I'll just be over there like, you know what I'm saying? So then I like the fair though, where they have the full court and you can shoot and it has like the full rim. It's no trick rim or nothing like that. So one day I went in there and I was like, yo, can I try and shoot? And she didn't know I could shoot. She didn't know I could play.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, okay, sir. And I was like, you know, can I up the ante if I pay a little more money? And I hit a certain amount, can I have that prize right there? And it was like the top right.
The big prize, everybody walks by.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, she's like, well, take a couple shots and let's see. And I was like, okay. So I was out there shooting real funky, like I couldn't play or nothing. I was like, you know, putting my leg out, shooting and everything. She was like, oh yeah, absolutely. How much you want to pay? I was like, I don't get a little extra. She's like, okay. So she gave me in, and the next thing you know, I just went off and just started scoring. Shoot, the whole time.
You got the big prize?
The big prize. I got 2 of them.
The only prize I ever win at the fair is the corn dog prize.
Come on.
Or
the turkey leg.
The lemonade prize. I don't win anything else.
All right, here we go. We going back at it. Come on, give me the money. Oh, almost went in there.
This is embarrassing.
Oh man, this guy.
Wow. Hey, that's a redo.
Wow, that's a redo. Oh man. You need to give me them Jordans after this one, man. You need to give me them. You need to give me them Jordans, man.
Look at that technique.
Oh!
I'm still at 2?
Yep, that's a 2. So was it 10? 10 to 2.
So I gotta know, with all your experience, but at Moorhead State, in the NBA, right now we're finally starting to get NBA back under our feet as fans, right? And NCAA, still who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So as a fan now, what's it like for you to watch, you know, those first couple scrimmage games on TV this weekend?
Yeah, well, you know, as a fan, it's good to see, you know, players playing and everything like that. But man, honestly, man, it felt like watching like a summer league game or something.
Wasn't it?
A pickup game or something like that. And I know, you know, what's funny is that the players have to get acclimated, but so the viewer has to get acclimated too. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be, for all of us, it's gonna be kind of weird. I'm really curious to see, like 2 weeks into the season, fatigue. You're gonna find out who's been working out, who hasn't been working out, who's been taking care of themselves. And what a lot of people don't get too is that, you know, these players have personal lives, man. Like stuff, their family happens. And so what we would see on the outside is if that person is not in the game, it's big news. But oftentimes they would miss practices because they got to be with their families, or they got to tend to a family issue, or they may just need maintenance. They may be hurt and they don't practice. It's common amongst pro athletes. I'm curious to see how this impacts, you know, when family things come up, family issues come up, and they have to leave, you know, and it warrants them to come outside this bubble, because that changes the whole landscape for any team, you know, trying to vie to get a championship. And so I'm curious to see how that is rolled out. But I know for me, it was kind of weird, man, just kind of watching. And my wife was watching, and she said something. She said, it would have been cool to record, because we watched the very last game. The game that got canceled was Oklahoma City. They were playing, and they canceled the game, and we were watching the game, because my boy coached for OKC. And she was like, it would have been cool to tape that game and then put a side-by-side, like this is before and after, you know what I'm saying? Like how there's nobody in the building anymore, you know, but it was weird.
You remember when I was watching that game and it was like breaking down every minute by minute, like for me it was one of the most interesting times in sports where we have a game, Jefferson, and people start whispering, and next thing you know, the game's canceled.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
Yeah. I have a close friend of mine who's an assistant coach for OKC. He's a great guy and believer. And I asked him, I said, man, what was that like, man? And he was like, it was weird, man. He was like you said, it just kind of started clamping down more and more and more and more and more. And the next thing you know, and at that point, I don't think people knew the significance or the severity of what we were up against as a pandemic. Like, it's all uncharted water.
Yeah.
So, including for a multi-billion-dollar organization like the NBA. Yeah. But I think they handled it with such grace and professionalism that as best as they could. And the cool thing I like about the NBA is they're really blazing a trail for a lot of other major league, other leagues to follow, and how they lend strength to NFL and vice versa. But I was really, really blown away of how fast they got together. All right, we're gonna draw this, and protocol, you gotta get tested, and and just how they kind of came together, and now they're back on the court. But I ain't gonna lie to you, bro, Jefferson, it's weird. It's straight up weird.
We'll see how the bubble works, because we know that with Major League Baseball starting this weekend, who don't have the bubble approach, right? With the Marlins, where I think like 12, 13 coming down with Corona, and is their season done? Is it going to be modified? What that's going to look like? But let's talk before that too. Because we jumped right into kind of your career as a professional coach. But how did you get into basketball from the get-go? How did you get from San Diego to Morehead State? Talk to us about that, man.
Yeah, man. It's crazy because okay, I see you shooting.
Oh gosh.
It's crazy because I was, sports to me was my boy out here scoring, man. Scoring, wow. Come on.
You're scoring up your shoulder. I'm watching your technique, man.
It was crazy for me, man, because sports essentially was my outlet. I was born and raised in a single mother home. I'm half Hispanic, half black. So I was raised on, my mother's Hispanic, so my mom raised me. I don't know my dad till this day. And thank God I found my Heavenly Father. So, there's not a wound. The wound that was there has been healed. But when I was growing up, man, sports was my outlet, man. That was my community. All my boys played, you know what I'm saying? When I was younger, like, man, if I'm ever gonna have a girlfriend, she only gonna like me if I play sports. So let me go ahead and play sports.
That's why I played multiple sports.
This boy on fire over here. This boy's on fire over here.
I want to see this stuff in slow-mo, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
I
Just follow suit. Follow the leader, like Eric B. and Rakim. Follow the leader. Oh, that went straight in.
That would have went in.
That would have went in if them other balls wasn't in there. So should I just count that or what, man?
No, you shouldn't.
Should I just count that or what?
I got 3 plus 2. That's 5. Add 3 to your total. What you at now?
I got 18. I had 12.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Here we go. Let me get focused, man.
Come on, get focused, man, because this is not fair.
No. Do not focus anymore, bro.
You know what? Just be funny then. Don't focus, man. Just be funny and throw it in.
You're right. Let me go back to funny.
Yeah, be back to funny, man. What you need to stretch? What do you do?
What did the third one do?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's almost over. I got 18.
Where'd the third one go?
It's over underneath the trophies.
I hit this 3. It's over anyway. So,
Gosh, man, you know what? That's too far down there.
Yeah, man. Stretch or something. I don't know. Come on now. Oh, all right.
You're about to put this one in there.
Come on, let's just
in the books.
Let's just go for it. All right. Let's just go for it. All right, here we go. Boom. Boom.
Uh-oh. I can't see it, Jefferson.
Where is it?
It's underneath the trophies.
I had to see it first.
Yeah, so being at Morehead State, man, and growing up, man. Well, even going before Morehead State, man, sports was my community. So, and it was a way for me to really learn and afford myself an opportunity. I was the first person to be able to go to college. And that was a big deal to me. It's like, man, how am I gonna pay for college? We can't afford it. So I better get good at something. Initially, baseball was my first sport, because I was a baseball player and I was a skater. And so one day I was skateboarding over there by Kalina Park in San Diego. There's a huge hill over there, and I was going down the hill, standing, and the board was, I had a cheap skateboard. I have a nice one, so I had a cheap one. It was wobbling. I hit a crack and flew off the skateboard, and I was supposed to pitch that Saturday. I started to become a really good pitcher.
How old were you at this point?
Man, I was like maybe 9.
Okay.
And so, but I was a good pitcher, and the coach never wanted me to pitch. Well, the assistant coach was there, and he was like, yo, I want you to pitch, man. You can pitch, and you're gonna be our star pitcher. So I was like, oh man, this is my debut. Rolled down the thing, hit the bump, flew off, broke my collarbone. And that was it. I was like, man, I gotta switch it up, because now I can't do this. I can't cock back. So I picked up basketball and started playing. And then from there, man, I just started getting pretty good, but I had a passion for it. I was like, oh, I like this. And I wasn't really that good to start. My body wasn't, I didn't keep in shape or anything like that. I was a pudgy kid. I would say I was a fat kid, and so I'm carrying around a lot of weight.
Back in the day, Jeff Johnson, I don't know if you remember this, it was called a husky.
Come on, it was husky back in the day?
Yeah, they didn't want to make nobody mad, so they were like,
big bone.
Husky jeans.
You had husky jeans?
I had husky jeans.
Man, I ate a burger, my whole leg blow up, boom, Plus I had a big old butt too at the time.
They couldn't make jeans for fat kids.
They had husky.
And I was proud to be husky. I'm like, husky sounds pretty dope, dude.
Yeah.
Yo, man, I'm husky.
Yeah, and now I was like, no, you gotta be politically correct, you know what I'm saying? But he was, I went in that time as I was growing, man, and I started playing. I started to find I had a community here. I had brothers and friends, and I got on this really killer AAU team, and we became really close friends. And I started saying, yo, man, I can actually get a college scholarship, and just go to college. And that was my whole thing. I didn't want to, it wasn't professional. It was just I just want to go to college, so I don't have to be, working at, Jack in the Box my whole life. No shot at the Jack in the Box workers. But I was like, I want to do more of my life. And so I started playing. I ended up getting a scholarship out of high school to Cal Poly Pomona, which is a Division II school.
Yeah, sure.
Here.
Broncos.
School.
Huh? Broncos,
right?
You know it. Come on. Let me go ahead and just put this away for us right here. Come on. Oh!
All right, so you got 18. I got 5. Man, I'm not even hitting it.
Man.
I didn't even hit it.
I mean, them Jordans, man, I'm feeling them on my feet right now, man. Yeah.
I'm taking the Jordans off.
Yeah.
I don't deserve the work.
Oh, I got 20.
I take my Jordans off. I mean, disrespect the brand.
Yeah, come on, huh? The last dance for them Jordans right there. The last dance.
Part 7.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, my gosh. Here you go, come on. Are they my size? Are they my size? Let me check these right here. Are these my size? I just want to make sure. Man, come on, man.
I thought this was going to be a good day, too, Greg.
Man.
Seriously.
Oh!
Keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. I got 20.
20 to 5.
20 to 5. Keep hope alive. So, yeah, man, after that, Cal Poly Pomona, I went out there, and that's when I got into really good shape. And at first they liked me, then they didn't like me, and I had a rough year there. Okay,
nice.
Okay, so you did kicked off the J's. That's what it is.
8. I'm on 8 now.
Okay, come on, let's go for the game. Oh!
Come on, Marcus.
Oh!
Come on, do this for the people.
Do it for the people. Oh, you're trying to come back.
Okay.
What's the
I'm
score?
at 11 now. 11 to 20.
Okay. It's too late. That's game. That's game, y'all. That's
Nice
game.
job.
And now he makes it. That's game.
Good work, good work.
Good game. So, and I just wrap those up and take
Yeah,
them with me,
I'll ship them to you.
Yeah.
ship them to you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna come home with my wife and go, where's your shoes?
It's like, honey.
I'm gonna tell you, lucky I got pants after that. Come inside my underwear with no shoes.
What happened?
Don't ask.
Don't ask. Because we would have bet you too. Like, man, bet the Jays, man. Bet the Jays back in the day. I had those too. Those are one of my favorite. Yeah, those are nice. But Cal Poly Pomona, man, and I started out there, and it was fun. And I wanted to always play Division I. That was my dream. And I started playing. I got in really good shape. And they're like, hey man, you're gonna be the starting point guard next year. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna transfer to Division I. Well, in order to do that, they call it, I don't know if this rule still exists, but they call it 4-2-4. So you go from a 4-year school to a 2-year school, which is a junior college, back to a 4-year school. I'm like, man, I didn't want to do that. And you know, I didn't know the Lord. I wasn't a believer at the time or anything like that. So this was all new to me. So I was like, you know what? Man, I'll go to this little 2-year school, which was a College of the Desert in Palm Desert.
Okay.
And so I went out there and I had a killer year, man. Like I was like on the radar for everybody. SEC, you know, all the big schools were coming to recruit. I mean, we had at least 3 people a day coming in to recruit me. But the cool part of the transition to a 2-year is I met my wife, man.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, and I remember it so clearly because when I was there, man, I didn't have a relationship with God. I didn't even know if I believed it. I knew there was a higher, quote unquote, power, but I remember saying, this is the first prayer I can ever remember praying. I said, God, if you're real, I'm tired of running around with all these chicken heads. Give me a woman I can call my wife.
Come on.
It was just that simple.
Yeah.
In my own words, and sure enough, 2 weeks later, a woman came and knocked on the door, and she was looking for one of her friends because I lived with 2 other girls and another guy. It was 4 of us in an apartment. And one of the girls that we lived with, she was looking for her mutual friend. She knocked on the door, and that woman's my wife today.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
crazy, right?
You know, it's great. I love how the Lord works, Greg, because we have our path that we think we want to take and our routes, and like even through our mistakes and even through like not even knowing, even before we loved God, he knew who we were and he had a plan for us. And even like, I call it like stumbling onto greatness. Like even through life, sometimes I'm just failing and stumbling, but through it, God's in his crazy God algorithm.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, don't trip, man. Right? I got you here. This is going to lead to there. And that's a great story, which we're going to come back and talk about your faith here in a minute.
Yeah.
But let's talk about then. You eventually had a pro career, bouncing around a lot of places.
Yep.
Also a coaching career.
Yep.
Then I know as God got a hold of your life, you got into pastoring and just being a part of different movements that God is doing and seeing bona fide miracles. And now part of that expression of yours as well is this initiative you started with your clothing brand, looking all sexy up in here.
Come on now,
right?
come on.
So tell us about why you started this and what this is all about.
Yeah, this is just a little thing. I started with another pastor friend of mine named Pastor Santiago. We call it a Kingdom Collective. And the reason why we started, man, is like I like wearing fresh clothes that have a great message, you know, and that it's functional, feels good. You can wear it anywhere. You can wear it, your kids can wear it, your family can wear it. And we had started it, and essentially, when we started it, I kind of thought of it as like, these are like priestly garments. Like with the priestly garments, they would wear them, and everything was intentional on them. And so everything's intentional on us. So obviously, this is a scripture right here: "Seek ye first," and it has the kingdom that goes down the back right there. And we started it because like it says right here, our mission is to inspire hope and unity and purpose while encouraging people to discover their kingdom destiny. And so, you know, it sits on the right side of the shirt because Jesus sat at the right hand of the Father. He sits at the right hand of the Father. The gold represents one of the gifts that the Magi brought when Jesus was born, and so on and so forth. And so all of our things are intentional, and I just want to wear something fresh, man, something that I like, you know, and something that I know other people would like. And so we just started it, and our whole intention, like, yo, man, we're not gonna make this big multi-million-dollar thing, God. We just want to dedicate it unto you. We want to make stuff that represents you, and it's just kind of taken off, man. It's been great. It's been great, yeah.
Well, it looks good, and this is great for whooping up on people with Walmart.
Come on.
Walmart fair game. Go Gator. Hey, if you're interested in checking out some of his gear that's fresh and it'll allow you to dominate at Walmart games while spreading God's truth, doing 2 great things at once, you can check there below. We've got a website you can go to, but what's the name of the website? You can tell people right there.
KingdomCollectiveLife.com.
Well, awesome. Hey guys, stay tuned as we're going to get into how faith and sports have collided in Greg's world. Welcome back to the yard where faith and sports collide. I'm here with my friend and pastor, entrepreneur, 3-point specialist, ex-NBA coach, former professional basketball player, Greg Hendricks. Thanks for joining us, man.
Man, thanks for having me on here, man. This is awesome.
Hey, this is the best part of the show, where we get to just talk about faith and sports colliding.
Yeah.
You know, the theme of the yard is where faith and sports collide. So I'm just going to throw that question at you. Talk to us about how faith and sports has collided in your world.
Yeah, man, great question. I think for me, it's really catapulted me into my identity in Christ. It's allowed me to be able to speak to so many different athletes from NFL, NBA, baseball, just to have real good, healthy conversation. It's really also provided me a platform to share an expression of God's heart to that demographic of athletes and people. So it's been really cool. I ain't gonna lie, it's been a journey, you know, and I've had to really empty myself of myself and fill myself up even more with God. And the one thing I know is, like, the deeper I go with God, the less I can take with me, meaning the less of my own understanding on how something should be and what it should look like, and just really be like, okay, God, this is your thing. I'm here, I'm available. You know, I don't have any ability but availability, man. And so here we go. Let's do this thing.
That's a great ability, man.
Yeah.
You know, seriously. And there's something powerful God can do with a man or woman that says, here I am.
Man, that's it.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Use me, Lord. So how did that get started in your life? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but how did that get started about faith being beyond like somebody that can answer prayers to being somebody that lives their life for a single purpose, to glorify God?
Man, you know, it's a journey, man. It's been a journey. I think for me, I knew there was some higher power. I didn't know who the name. I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't raised in the church. I didn't desire to be a pastor. I was going the professional coaching route and professional athletic world route, and that's a great place to be. But obviously, God has something different. And I remember I was telling you about my wife earlier, and that was like the first prayer I ever prayed about, you know, God, if you're real, bring me a woman that I can call my wife. And after she came, and now we met each other 2 weeks later. After that, when we first met, I got really sick, and I caught a virus that was going around the desert at the time, and I was bedridden at the time. This was, you know, over 20-some years ago. And my wife now, my girl at the time, my wife now, she stood by my bedside. I remember falling asleep, waking up, and she'd be sitting right there. She was just catering me and serving me and just taking care of me. And I was like, man, that was the first time I ever really saw something big. And she wasn't even a believer. It was just her act of humility inside of her. I knew it was God inside of her.
Yeah.
And so that was an introduction. And then it kind of set me on this trajectory as I went on this journey. But when I got to college, I started to, you know, press in a little bit. Still wasn't fully committed. Still was just kind of dabbling, had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and that's not gonna work. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, played professional. My last year playing pro, I was coming back from the Ukraine, and things didn't work out the way I wanted them to be. I was at probably the lowest point of my life, and I was like, man, what's next, man? I can't. I was living in Washington State at the time. Like, well, what's next? And I remember watching an online sermon at church, the Rock Church, and I stood up in the middle of the night. I was working graveyard shift, and I just put my hands up. I said, Lord, I'm tired of doing this. Like, I can't do me and try to do this over here. I'm fully committing. And when I fully committed, man, I'm telling you, I just started weeping, not crying, weeping. And there was like a big light that came into the room. For me, it felt like it lasted about 15 minutes. It was probably more like 2 or 3 minutes. But it was just an encounter, It wasn't an experience. I think people tend to blur that line about experience and encounter, and the difference is experience is memorable, but encounter is transformative. So when you have an encounter with God, like you're changed. That's it. Like, man, I'm going this direction. Despite what anybody's saying. And so for me, I had that encounter, and I was like, man, I'm changed. And I remember I came home and I told my wife, like, yo, I think I gave my life to Jesus. She's like, what does that mean? And she didn't even know. And it just started me on this whole trajectory of pursuing my faith.
Wow. Wow. So you were watching an online service. That's got to be encouraging to, I think, pastors that are hearing this now, ministers who are hearing this now. We know that there's been a big shift because of the COVID, and whether people agree with it or not, that's not the point. The point is there's a shift, right? And forces, I mean, churches are now having to develop an online presence, and some are really going after that and embracing it, and some are kind of well, we got to do this until we can meet again. And I think that the churches that are really going to embrace the fact that you can put together some messages online to touch people and change lives.
Oh, change my life.
And so I think pastors would be encouraged to hear through an online message is when you had that encounter with the Lord.
Yeah, you know, and I think it was prophetic of where we're at now, is that there, you know, the Bible says to go into Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. Some of us can't get on a plane and go to the ends of the earth, but you can get on the internet and go to the ends of the earth, because people are on their phones or on their devices. You know, you can get to a people group that you may not necessarily have access to. And the crazy part is I think some people feel like, oh man, I'm not polished, I don't know very much. You know, I don't have this big, unique speaking gift or ability. And like I said earlier, God don't want any ability but availability. Just be available and get on there and talk about what God did in your life or what you want him to do in your life, and share that with the masses. Like, man, I want the Lord to change me. You have to start with you, and then branch out from there. And so I think it's beautiful that we are in this season to where it's now a tool that the church has to embrace. People of faith have to embrace. I think social media can be used essentially, you know, for your own gain, but if you use it to glorify God, is a beautiful thing that when grace gets breathed on your projects. Yeah,
I love that, because people are so quick to call social media the cancer or the devil. And to me, social media is benign. Social media, it doesn't have morality. It's what you do with it, right? And so I know for me, social media, frankly, has been a blessing. Like seeing what God's doing through you, connecting with my family. Like I use my social media stuff for kind of the 3S, I call it. Like almost every one of my posts fall in one of these 3S. Once in a while, there's like a deviation, but it's funny, and it's family, and it's faith, right? That's what I use it for. And I like to encourage people. I like to have fun. I like to be encouraged. And even though it's filled with all kinds of ugliness, that's not social media. That's people's hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And so I'm glad that you know that God can use that platform, that digital platform that he used in your life. And you have a chance to leverage it as well. You know, one thing I love about your story, Greg, is that even though you were transformed, right? But God had already kind of wired in you to be an athlete, to communicate, to connect. And so when you came to the Lord, you didn't have to throw all that stuff away.
No.
Right? You could kind of take all those things that you already invested and developed, even though at that point you didn't use it for God's glory.
Right.
But then it was a platform for you to have some great experiences that I'd like to hear about a little bit, and to make some significant impact in a space where very few people are making an impact.
Yeah, you know, and that was initially my biggest fear, is like, man, okay, if I give my life to Christ, man, all of the relationships that I have that aren't centered in Christ, they're gonna go away. And it was actually the opposite. They got accelerated, the relationships. And then I inherited more relationships by just serving the ones that I had and being faithful with the little that I had, and not doing it with an agenda, but doing it like, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna be a good friend, and I don't want anything. I'm coming with the deposit mindset over withdrawal mindset. And like you said, there was things that God was already grooming in me that were gonna be applicable to my current, what I currently do. And I didn't have to change who I was, I just had to conform to who he was. You know what I'm saying? And once I conform, it's like, oh, I can still have my personality, I can still be loud, I can still crack jokes, I can still wear fresh shoes, I can still do the things that I like to do, but I'm doing it unto the Lord now. And the cool part about that is that you offer a greater invitation to someone to explore their faith when you are ministering from that place, or speaking from that place, or sharing from that place. I can't tell you how many different athletes, you know, right now there's been a grace on me with like NFL guys, you know, and you know, I didn't play football, you know, so, but I played professional sports, but now it's allowed me to speak into a lot of their lives and help them journey. And some of them, are solid believers, and there's ones that like, man, I don't know if I even believe, but I want to engage in conversation with you because I trust you pursuing God. I see that. So help me understand. So it's allowed real healthy conversation, and I don't have to change who I am. They accept me, but it offers them a greater invitation to see who God is in me. And so that part has been amazing. It has been amazing.
So as a pastor, how does that apply? Because it happened with you with sports, and that's what God's been doing with my life as well. But what about people that maybe business people or mothers or college students or high school athletes or academic people? How does that apply in their lives, kind of what God's done with you?
Yeah, you know, and the other part of that is it hasn't just been athletes, it's been political figures, you know, people who are leading, you know, our country and speaking into the development of our country. It's been mayors and city planners and city man, you know, people like that. It's just been everyday people. Yeah. And I think the thing about all those people across the board, whether you're from the faceless to the famous and everybody in between, is you have to understand the value of relationship and what it means to have relationship. And I always tell people, man, just be a good listener. Sit and listen, ask great questions, and listen with the intent of knowing about that person and how you can bring strength to their growth or strength to their curiosity on how they're trying to pursue God. I think for me, that has been like the baseline for all different demographics of people, whether they're American or whether they're out of the country. You know, I just value relationship, and I always say I have a deposit mindset over a withdrawal mindset. Deposit mindset is that if me and you are chilling, hanging out, talking, like, I want to deposit something into you that's going to make you better when we walk away from each other. And then offer us an opportunity, like, yo, man, let's hang out again, man. That was fun, man. And we talked about God, like, you know, that's cool. All right, let's hang out, you know. I come with the deposit, not like I want to get something from you because of who you know, or you want to get something from me because of who I know. It's like, no, I'm here to help strengthen you on your journey. And what that does, whether they're believer in God or an unbeliever in God, what it does is it offers a greater invitation to them to want to know about God, because it'll come out in your life. It'll reflect out of your heart, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good. I like that approach, Greg, because I think for most Christians, if you ask them, do you want to share your faith? They'll say, yeah. And then, you think it's important to share your faith? Yeah. Do you often share your faith? No.
Crickets.
Right. I mean, I think that's typical.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, but with your philosophy, it's different, because I think a lot of it is that fear of like getting the rejection, that fear of maybe like being seen as a Bible thumper, maybe for some, that fear of, well, you know what, it's going to change my relationship. And I think those are reasonable thoughts, but your approach is different. Your approach is, man, let me just pour into you.
Yeah.
Right? Let me just add value to your life. And by that, it just compels people to want to draw closer to you, and the reason why you're doing that. Have you seen that being an effective way to share your faith and draw people to the Lord?
I would say that's one way to do it. It's a very effective way. And the other way is just be authentic, you know, be open about the things that you may struggle with, because that's also a great invitation too. People can identify with, I feel like they will connect more with God in your life through your strengths and weaknesses, you know, where he strengthens you at. Like, oh man, I can identify with being impatient. I can identify with being tempted. I can identify with these things that you may have struggled with, that you're open about, especially if you receive healing there. But that the fact that it does not pin you down, like, oh, you can't share about that because you're gonna feel judged. Like, no, you know, God says those who the Son set free are free indeed. So I'm a free man by what a price who's already been paid for my life. So if I were to say that to a non-believer, they get all confused. You know what I'm saying? But if I was to just live that out, like, yo, man, I struggled with this, man. You know, at one point, man, I was a womanizer. I did this. Yo, man. Oh man, but God changed you? Yeah, man, he can change you too. Man, I want to know more about this God. You know what I mean? And so that's also a great tool. I think people who are of faith tend to forget that. Like, you can be open about the things that you may have struggled with, but it offers a greater invitation. And it helps you understand, like, hey, yo, man, even though you a man of God, you a woman of God, you're still human, you know? And I like the fact that when you bring stuff into the light, the enemy can't attack things that are in the light. He will attack things that you hide and put in the dark, because the Bible says that darkness can't dwell where light is at. So if I have things in the dark, where you think he's gonna be running amok at? He's gonna be running amok in the dark. But if it's in the light, yo man, I did this, and I struggle with this, but I feel the redemption. I feel God just healed me of this. Then the enemy's like, oh, I can't hold that over Marcus' head no more. I can't hold that over Greg's head no more. You know what I'm saying? And so I think there's a lot of value and strength and freedom there to share your faith as well.
Yeah, I like that philosophy, and I call it like taking away the devil's bullets, right? Because in that darkness, there's all those things that the devil wants to put in a gun to hold to your head, right? To make you behave different, fear, doubt, be ashamed, right? And then, but if you take those bullets out, he doesn't have them,
man,
right? Because you took them,
man.
You showed him there, and then he could have the gun, but there's nothing in there, right, that can destroy you, because the truth has come to light.
Man, I tell you one story how I know this to be a fact is that I've been with my wife now. We've been together 21 years, and prior to us getting married, we were together 12 years before we got married. We got married in September 10th, 2011. And so we're going on 9 years being married. And I remember when we got married, you know, prior to that, man, I was doing things I shouldn't have been doing, living that life. And we got married. I got the green light from God. And the first thing he says, man, I'm so proud of you, son. You know, I'm feeling good. He said, okay, now I want you to tell your wife about the women that you were with prior to marrying her. And I like froze. I was like, I'm gonna lose no way, you know, like in my mind, like, no way, I'm not doing that, you know, I'm gonna lose my relationship with my wife. And it was just a couple words, do you trust me? I said, yes. He said, well, you need to do this, as he was speaking to me. And it was internally, you know, and I'm wrestling. So it took me a couple days, but I you know, conjured up the courage to do it. And I told her, and was there strife? Absolutely. We were probably like this, and then I told her and we went like this. But then once the dust settled, we went like this. We got really tight because she knew me. And the other part about that I didn't know was that I didn't know what I was going to be doing down the line of my life. So it wasn't something the enemy can hold over my head anymore. Like, yo, you used to be this, used to be this, used to be this. Like, no, that's out in the open. My wife knows. So I can have conversations with other guys about this same subject with my wife sitting right here and not be ashamed, you know what I'm saying? Good. Or holding it over our marriage or holding it over me, but also offering greater strength and invitation to the people that you're talking to.
I love that, man. And if you're watching now, you know, if you are a child of God, I just want to encourage you, you know, how are you helping draw people closer to the Lord? And as Greg shared with us, one is to, you know, just admit we're flawed, you know, just admit that we're imperfect and get the repentance and redemption that God offers, but then also pour into people, you know, bring value to their lives. How can you be a bridge to help them achieve their dreams, relationships, breakthroughs? And I think God can use that in a tremendous fashion. And maybe if you're watching, you've never made that decision to follow the Lord. You know, maybe you're uncertain where you lie with eternity. You believe in God, you believe in Jesus, but you've never lived your life for God. You know, we know that even the demons believe who Jesus is, right? And so for you to believe that Jesus is who he is, well, that's one thing. But for you to make a decision to make him your Lord and Savior is another thing. So I just challenge you, if you haven't made that decision, make it, right? Right there in your heart. Invite him into your heart. Connect with the local church. Reach out to us. Reach out to people that you know that love God. And if you love the Lord but want to be more impactful in your life, I just encourage you to take heed to what Greg had shared with us. You guys, thanks for tuning in today. Thank you for Christian Podcast Central for supporting us in this. Also check out our YouTube channel as well. We'll be back next week with another great guest. God bless you guys, and thanks for joining us in the yard.